You guys didn't think Wicked could come out, I go see it, and I not do a Wicked fragrances video. What would Glinda wear? What would Elphaba wear? Stay tuned to find out. Hello my gorgeous ones, welcome to Aleisha Budget Beauty. My name is Aleisha. Here on my channel, I love all things affordable fashion, beauty, and fragrance. I do hauls, tutorials, reviews, themed fragrance recommendation videos, all sorts of fun stuff. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe, stick around, be a friend. Yes, I'm dressed like Glinda right now, like her, what does she call it? Like some kind of fish. Anyway, if you haven't seen the movie, what are you waiting for? It is amazing. I've seen it twice. If you have seen the movie, you probably definitely understand this little top. You guys, the movie was so good. And I was thinking, what would Glinda wear fragrance-wise? And then I thought, well, what would Elphaba wear? And then I thought, let me just show you guys what in my collection I would pair for these two amazing, beautiful witches. So let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, we are doing Glinda first, and you guys can expect, you've already seen the thumbnail, you're gonna see an outfit change for Elphaba because this is just what I do. All right, so for Glinda, the fragrances that I think of when I think of her are going to be obviously feminine. A lot of them are pink. They're sweet, they're soft, they may be a little fruity, a little bit pillowy, cloud. You'll see, you'll see. So first up, how could I not include a bottle that's actually a pink dress for Glinda, right? So this is Paris Hilton's Pink Rush. And you guys, I love Paris Hilton fragrances. Are they the most expensive smelling fragrances in the world? No. Are all of them created equal? No. There's some that I think are better than others for sure. They're also not the most long-lasting fragrances, but I, for one, absolutely adore the bottles. I collect them. This one is one of my favorite ones. This iridescent pink is just so beautiful, the little bustier. And I think this is one of her better ones. I think this smells lovely. This is a fruity floral. It's bright, it's cheerful. You have some quince in there. You have some other bright fruity notes. You have some lovely rose. You have some sweeter base with some musk and sandalwood and vanilla. It's actually quite pretty. It's balanced really well. If you like a fun, bright, cheery, like this is Glinda when she's like, good morning. That's what she's gonna wear, is a fragrance like this. All right, next up, it wouldn't be right to not include an Ariana Grande fragrance. And what is crazy, how she transforms herself so much into Glinda, that didn't even occur to me at first. I was going through my collection, I was picking out Glinda perfumes, and then I was like, oh, I should probably include Cloud Pink because it's very, you know, it's pink and on a cloud, she's in her bubble. Didn't even for a moment at the beginning click. I'm like, well, and duh, it's Ariana Grande, because I just think of Glinda. I don't even think of Ariana Grande. So that is a testament to her performance. But Cloud Pink, obviously I had to pick this one. Yes, it's very similar to Cloud in the sillage. How it projects is very cloud-like. But when you put your nose right up to this, there is a little bit more going on that I actually prefer over Cloud. You get a little bit of dragon fruit, a little bit of coconut water, pineapple. It's very subtle. I mean, the essence of it, you know, the praline and the musk and everything, it turns into very cloud-like. But the top and the first 30 minutes, you can definitely smell more of those fruits. Again, another cheerful, happy, kind of fluffy fragrance. All right, next up we have Kiss a Pink. And this one has kind of changed over time for me in a really good way. When I first got this, it was very similar to Yara by Lattafa with something a little bit more well-rounded and fuller than just sort of that baby powdery vibe that Yara gives me. So I liked it better, but I personally didn't really smell a lot of coconut in here when I first got it. Now, I really do. The coconut has really emerged in this fragrance, and the violet makes it powdery, sugary, musky in the base. So In essence, what I get from this is sort of a confectiony, powdery, soft, fluffy coconut vibes, but coconut water more so, not like a really rich, deep coconut. It's airy, it's fun, it's girly, definitely a Glinda fragrance. All right, next up, this is a newer one in my collection that I'm kind of in love with. This is Sphinx Egyptian Sugar Soiree. Sphinx is one of my favorite houses, and my husband actually got this as a sample in his order because we are a Sphinx household. He loves Sphinx, so do I. He got this sample, and I was like, I need that, thank you. I thought I need this in a full size. I grabbed it, just came in not too long ago. It's delightful. This is a milky, sugary coconut fragrance. Not much else, but it's just done really, really well. It projects so beautifully. It gives more of an upscale, gourmand, milky, fluffy, sugary coconut than, say, like, if you were to compare this to a Bath and Body Works fragrance, you would think this is the rich auntie version of it. It's luxe. I love the bottle, and this is what I think Glinda would wear if she was going to her dance to kiss her Fiero. All right, another newer one to my collection. I finally broke down and got the Barbie fragrance. This is Define Me, and this is their creative studio. So they have some of their more, like with the crystals in it, Rami, what's the one, Noon? It's the newer one that's a collaborator, is a creator. And then they have their creative studio that's a little bit more like kitschy, and the Barbie one they came out with, it's been out for a while. I had a sample of this and I went back and forth. I was like, I kind of like it, but like, why do I like this? Because it's kind of weird. It really, really smells like childhood. It smells like your toys when you're playing with as a child. There's a little bit something plasticky there, a very, very sweet, very innocent. And I had some friends over one evening and they smelled it and they were like, that literally smells like something like a child would wear. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. It does. And then months went by later, I was like, you know what, who cares? I like it, so I grabbed it, and I really do enjoy this. It's very, very sweet. You have some strawberry, you have some dragon fruit in here as well. The mid has some florals with some rose and some magnolia, and then sort of like a sugary base. It's just, it truly captures the essence of playing with my Barbies, my strawberry shortcake, my Little Ponies. And you know, Glinda has this youthful, ephemeral youthfulness about her. So I think she would definitely wear Barbie. Okay, this next fragrance is the Royal Cotton Collection Cotton Boardy by Mamlakat Al Oud. How could I not include it? It's got a pink fuzzy ball on it. I had to include it, right? I really like this fragrance. It's kind of odd. When I first got it, I was like, what am I smelling? But what this smells like to me is a sweetened sort of bubble bath. It's not necessarily soapy, but it is sort of clean smelling. And I think of Mr. Bubbles, the actual like pink bubble bath. That has sort of the same vibe as this. So it's kind of sweet, musky, and clean. I actually really like it. It's very feminine and very unique. So this is Glinda when she gets out of her bubble bath. All right, next we have Fraise Fouette. I believe that translates to strawberry. This is by Le Monde Gourmand. It has this pink juice. This is pretty sugary sweet. Whenever I got this, I did a TikTok saying like, this is the Starbucks pink drink in a spray bottle on yourself. It's very milky. It says it has banana in here too, strawberry, banana, milk, sugar. This will give you a cavity type of sweetness, so you have to really, really want something sweet. I mean, this is when Glinda is just on her best behavior, just being maybe a little fake sweet, because this is sort of artificial smelling, see where I'm going, getting really deep here, but I actually enjoy this from time to time. I have to be in the mood for it. Might be something that you'd want to spray something with like sandalwood or musk just to kind of ground things. But if you're a sweet girl, this is your affordable girl. Okay, this next one I think is the only one that's not actually pink. This is Laura Mercier's Almond Coconut. The reason why I chose this one though, I love this one. It's so light and fluffy and very cloud-like, very comforting. I just picture Glinda having, you know, all of her fluffy pillows when she just like, in her hair, you know, just falls back in her bed and she just floats away in a little dream cloud. That's why I chose this. This is basically an almondy coconut scent. Not much going on, but it's one of the prettiest coconut and almond scents that I have. It reminds me a lot of like a little almond cookie is what this reminds me of, but very like airy and light. It's a very, very pretty fragrance. Underrated, no one ever talks about it. So this is, I guess, the bedtime scent for Glinda. All right, next we have Jewel Avery by Aroma Concepts and also Avery, who is our lovely TikTok perfume queen. So this is such a girly, sweet, kind of fruity cookie vibes. There's no cookie notes in here, but it just kind of smells like not necessarily a sugar cookie, but just sort of like a cookie that's baking. It has that sort of mid, not done yet, baking in the oven with a little bit of fruitiness on top, but mixed so well that you don't really smell this and think that's a fruity fragrance. You also don't smell this and be straight gourmand. It's kind of perfectly balanced. It's delightful. This is a like nuzzle up next to your love when you want to smell sweet and feminine and just like a little gourmand is what this smells like. It's really beautiful. Also the bottle, I mean, this would definitely be on Glinda's vanity, showing off how pretty it is. All right, my very last one for Glinda, I think is the most kind of grown up, mature Glinda. So this is maybe when Glinda's going through her perils. This is Rose Era by Sniff. And this is one of my favorite Sniff fragrances. I think it's one of the most wearable out of all of theirs. I love Sniff because they can have some pretty avant-garde for mainstream, more niche-like fragrances, but not everyone is into those. This one is a really gorgeous strawberry rose fragrance, but it's balanced really well. It's not overly sweet, strawberry. The rose isn't like a dated rose. It's a youthful rose. So the strawberry in here is done so well because sometimes strawberry can go really artificial or it can also go very, very sweet. But you have a balance in here with some clean notes. I think there's like a laundry accord in here or something like that. Maybe, I don't think I'm making that up, but it's not overly soapy. It's just enough to give this sort of like a clean strawberry vibe with a very youthful young rose, some moss in the base, some ambrax in there as well. So it's balanced really well. It's fairly sophisticated, but still very feminine and still very youthful. So I think, you know, when Glinda needs to kind of grow up a little bit, this is what she is going to wear. So those are my Glinda fragrances. What if I was like, round of applause for me? That's what she would say. But now it's time to get a little bit darker, a little more serious, but still fun. Let's move on to the Elphaba fragrances. All right, you guys, I'm back. It's Elphaba. You guys didn't think that I wouldn't put on green lipstick, did you? You don't know me then if you're surprised that I did this. Okay, moving on to Elphaba fragrances. Now, when I think of Elphaba, I don't think of her as being, you know, evil. Obviously, if you've seen Wicked, you know, I think of her as being powerful and a little bit mysterious and outside of the box, things like that. So that's what we're kind of going with here. All right, first up, this is a newer one in my collection, and obviously it looks like her cape swirling around and curling around her legs. This is Christian Siriano's Midnight Silhouette. I got in a bunch of samples of Christian Siriano. I was just curious. I've always loved him as a designer. I've heard that he has some hidden gem fragrances. I fell in love with this sample. This is gorgeous and it's so unique. It does have a designer-like essence to it, so it doesn't necessarily smell like niche, but the uniqueness comes from this salt in the opening. So it's salt and pomelo. You also have some freesia in here, some immortelle. So there's sort of like a, I wouldn't say it smells like hay, but immortelle is a very interesting kind of unique scent. You kind of know it whenever you smell it. It does make fragrances smell just kind of outside of the box. And then you have some vetiver and musk and kind of some sweet fruity notes in the base. So like when this dries down after a couple of hours, you lose that salt that makes it sort of this salty, mysterious designer scent. And what's left is a very sweet, beautiful musk that just kind of lingers for a couple of hours longer. It's not the most long-lasting fragrance, but it is stunning. It is unique. I think it's perfectly unisex. I actually think this would smell amazing on a man. Yes, it's marketed towards a woman, but I'm telling you, men, if you're watching, you need to try this. It's stunning. Okay, this next one is Forbidden Sugar. I think this perfectly kind of encapsulates the whole vibe. There's this whole subplot of Prince Fiero and Elphaba, and you can tell they have feelings towards each other, but they shouldn't because he's betrothed to, or actually just in her mind, Glinda. And so there's this sort of like forbidden love thing, so Forbidden Sugar. This is also, it's sweet, but there's something kind of dark and mysterious about this fragrance. Now, there's a lot going on in this fragrance that I don't necessarily pick up. A lot of notes like peach and raspberry. Of course, there's marshmallow. It's supposed to be coconut, caramel, violet. All these, I don't really get a lot of that. To me, what I get in this is sort of a powdery, dark, sort of mysterious, sugary scent. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's exactly marshmallow that I get from this. It does kind of smell just like a forbidden, just like it's called Forbidden Sugar, like something you shouldn't touch because it's sweet and it's drawing you in. It's this sort of powderiness, you know, like having like a poof around her, of her like smoke of this powder, but there's something a little bit dangerous about it, but you can't put your finger on it. That's just what I pick up from this. And it's very long lasting. This projects really, really well. I also think this could be for a man. I really do. I don't think that this is just so sugary sweet or like feminine that a man couldn't wear this. I think it's very unisex. I quite like it. I think it is a very mysterious and sweet, but not too sweet fragrance. Okay, this next one is a huge, big freaking love for me. One of my favorites in my whole collection. And this is from Dua. It is an inspired by fragrance. I would say I would love to have the original, but it's a Penhaligon's dupe. So Penhaligon's Changing Consonants is what this is duping. This is Miss Independent. I've heard, I don't own my own Penhaligons. I think the bottles are gorgeous. They have these animal heads that would totally go with this theme as well of Wicked if you've seen it. But I've heard they don't last a whole long time. The Dua fragrances do. These are extracts, so this is very powerful, long lasting, and it is, I love this fragrance so much. It's the pimento in here that's the star of the show for me. I have another fragrance, Ultraviolet, that I could have put in the Elphaba category that has pimento that I'm obsessed with, but this is pimento and caramel. There's some salt in here. It's one of the most unique fragrances that I own, and it's very addictive. I crave this fragrance. I think it is it's kind of enchanting, which obviously, you know, Elphaba is very enchanting. So this is what I would kind of like cast my spell on Fiyero if I wanted him to permanently fall in love with me. I think it's gorgeous, mysterious, unique, fierce, just like Elphaba. All right, now this one is a newer one in my collection. I had to have it. I'm a Narciso Rodriguez freak. Like, I have a weird obsession with his fragrances because objectively, I don't think they're the best smelling, most pleasant fragrances. I really don't. I can be objective and say that. But for me personally, there is an addictive quality about them and something that I crave and I feel empowered when I wear them. So I have 4 of them. This one is the Musk Noir Rose. So newer to my collection, I finally was like, what am I doing? I need it. What am I doing? To my nose, I get this plummy rose. The pink pepper is very subtle in here. Sometimes pink pepper can be real dominant and overpower a fragrance. It's very subtle. I can barely pick it out, but I can. So it's a plummy, kind of dark rose, highly musky fragrance. Now, the dry down of this much later, there's vanilla in the base that kind of sweetens things up, kind of softens things, because this is sort of a harsh fragrance. I think a lot of Narciso Rodriguez's fragrances are harsh, even if they're powdery, whatever, the musk in it is so strong that it is harsh, but it's also fierce. And it is undeniable, and it is just, like I said, highly addictive for me. So I'm obsessed with this. I love it so much. And I think this really does encompass Elphaba. Like, you know, just powerful, in command. You can't look away from her. You keep coming back to her, you know, even as she's getting deeper and darker. It's just, I love it. All right, next up we have Lancome's Trésors La Nuit. And this is such a rich, dark, sexy, is very designer smelling, I will admit, but I think it's done really well. This is in the evenings when she's walking through the woods and doing her clandestine things. Maybe this is when she runs into Fiyero and, you know, what she would want to smell like. I just think it's very feminine. It is in charge, but there's a softness along with the sort of mystery of this fragrance, which I think that is Elphaba. You know, at the heart of her, she is a good person, soft. She came, you know, with all the best intentions, and then the situations thrown at her kind of like hardened her and made her had to be a little bit more guarded and tough. And I just think this fragrance just represents that. It kind of gives the impression, like even just kind of the, you know, beautiful but sort of pointy and like jutted hard exterior, but there is some softness going on here with the mystery. All right, next by Paris Corner, we have Ophidian Black Cherry. So gorgeous, stunning bottle. I just, you know, I see an animal on it. I think of Elphaba. This is also sort of like you're in the woods, deep in the woods sort of fragrance. But this is, I believe, supposed to be duping Kayali's Love Fest Burning Cherry. I do have that fragrance. Honestly, I think this is just as good. I really do. I think they did a great job with it. It is cherry and some raspberry, Palo Santo, tonka, gaiac wood. So it's just I don't think it's as incensey smelling as the Burning Cherry by Kayali. I really like both of them, to be honest. This one is a little bit more kind of softer wood sort of vibes to it, while the Burning Cherry has a little bit more incensey to it. So really I could have chosen both. I just really love this bottle. I think this is an excellent fragrance. Okay, my next one is The Kingdom by Lattafa. So it's the kingdom for her. It is Elphaba's kingdom, right? It's her kingdom to take over. Although, does she want to? You guys have to see the movie. But I have a video on this, and I was comparing it to Kayali's Silk Santal. Some people come in and try to say, oh no, it's La Vie La Belle, and you know, I don't think so. Yes, it has some pear in it. It has some similar notes, but I don't really get La Vie La Belle from this. I can sort of see where someone's coming from, but I don't think it's a dupe for it. And it's not an exact dupe for Silk Santal either. I compared them in the video if you guys want to go watch it, but I really enjoy this one. I think this one is regal. It's very sophisticated. It's very in charge and powerful, very assured, sure of yourself type of fragrance, which I think Elphaba is all of those things. So you do have some pear in here. You have some black currant. There's tonka. There's some sandalwood and amber. It's a very sure of yourself fragrance. To me, it kind of comes in with confidence, but regalness. And that's kind of how Elphaba is to me too. She's a queen. She's a witch, but she's a queen. So I think this is beautiful. I think it's just an in command, a woman who knows what she wants fragrance. Okay, this next one might be a little bit on the nose, but this is called Transfixed by Demeter. It lists red poppy as a note. I mean, this is created for Elphaba. If you know, you know. But this also is a pretty strong tobacco fragrance. It's actually quite lovely and unique. And Demeter is a very, very inexpensive brand. Not the most long lasting. I always just say that because no, it's not very long lasting. We're talking about 3 hours. However, this entire bottle is 20 bucks and it is 120 ml. I think that's fair for 3 hours. I do just respray. To me, it's not a problem, but I just think it's very unique. It's kind of niche smelling. It also has ylang ylang in it, but I don't so much get that. I do get some sort of floral that to me is hard to pick out. Maybe it's the red poppy because I'm not really sure what that's supposed to smell like. You don't really see that in fragrance. So it's just this kind of smooth, sweet tobacco with like a little hint of something kind of spicy floral in it. So I really like it. Very unique. If you like a tobacco fragrance, but you don't want to spend a lot of money on it, I do highly recommend this. All right, next up we have London Fog by Juliana's Perfumes. Talked about this not that long ago in my top 10 Juliana's Perfumes. I still need to talk about more because I have more than 10 now. Well, they sent 22 over and then samples, and I purchased some from Black Friday, but this London Fog is a dupe for Gris Charnel by BDK. I also have the Lattafa Liam Gray as well. But this one, I don't know, there's something about this one that is just done so well. This is a cardamom, tea, and fig fragrance. There's also a little bit of tonka bean in here. It's the London Fog is a perfect name for it because it's just a gray fragrance. Like you think gray, fog, cloudy, dreary, maybe even a little bit rainy. It's a little bit of like a cold fragrance, at the same time being kind of comforting and cozy as well, which you don't necessarily think of like a cold fragrance as being that cozy, but this one just is. And I just think of Elphaba just all like kind of like when all the chaos is over and she just kind of curls up to herself, that this would be like a comfort scent for her. It's still mysterious. It's beautiful. And also deep in, it feels very safe, which I think deep down, like she wants to feel safe. Okay, the very last one is another Juliana's Perfumes. This is Double Decadence. I regretted not putting this in my top 10 because I wore it a second time and was like, okay, this is amazing. But this is inspired by Guerlain's Spiritus Double Vanille. Now that vanilla, it is very vanillic, this fragrance. It's like a double shot of vanilla, but the other kind of contrasting notes in here, the incense, the cedar, the sort of like woody vibe to this, the pink pepper. It's like you've got all these sort of like more darker sort of elements, you know, with the lighter, really beautiful vanilla and benzoin. It makes a gorgeous, sexy, alluring, addictive sort of fragrance that is dynamic. Like this just says, I'm that girl and I'm gonna do what I need to do to get things done, and I'm gonna smell fabulous while doing it. I love it so much. I think it's empowering. I think it's large and in charge. But there is, again, the sort of like the running theme is there is some sort of like sweetness to it as well, despite all of the power that this fragrance has. And that is Elphaba. But that is it, you guys. Those are all of my fragrances that represent my two girls, my witches, Glinda and Elphaba. Whose team are you on? It's really, really hard. I mean, I think I'm team Elphaba for the most part, just everything. But like, I love them both. I'm a little bit of both as well, just personality-wise. Guys, let me know in the comments if you agree with my choices. Let me know which team you're on. I thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, have fun shopping, budget shopping, and smelling fabulous. Bye.